that if something's starting to pull you in and it's causing you anxiety and fear, and then you're too close. Your reader, your listener, your viewer are asking what's in it for me all the time. So I think you need somebody in your corner that tries to make you more professional, tries to make it more presentable and less mom and pop. I think that's very helpful.
Welcome back. Today I'm with a powerhouse of fun and brilliance, Havilah Cunnington. You know, she was just recently on the show and she taught us about hearing from God. Today, I want to give you the behind the scenes of her work and her ministry. She runs a Christian nonprofit, Truth to Table. And the thing I love about Havilah, she is honest in every area. She shares all the details of building her ministry, how she did it, numbers, details, the works. This is a dream episode of Smart Girl Summer. You're going to love this one. Now, after we talk with Havilah, it's time for coaching. Today, I'm giving you a pep talk on how to take action. You'll notice we've had a theme with a lot of these coaching sessions that I've given you because I keep hearing the same thing from people over and over again about taking action, about procrastination that we're going to get to soon. And so I just want to spend some time on these things and kind of teach you all these different things I know to be able to help you long term. Now, today's recommendation is my favorite, inexpensive. We'll call them press-on lashes. That's what we'll call them. Okay, without further ado, here's my friend Havilah. Havilah, you were on the show recently. This is so fun. Everyone got to learn from you recently how to hear from God, right? We did the spiritual talk. Now let's get down to business. Let's get down to where did this come from? How did you build such an amazing nonprofit? Because I'll tell you, when we talked about it last time you were on the show, when we met in Greece, you didn't have any idea who anybody was. You're just showing up to be helpful. And then I that's when I met you and that's when I started watching and I was like, "Oh, she's building." Like that year after we met, I watched you build with great respect and honestly through the years I've been super impressed. Walk me through what happened back in the day when you first started building.
Ooh, that's a good question. And I love this question because we don't talk about this very often, but it's kind of like the other side. And I know you get to ask a lot, how I want to become what you're doing, or I want to, have the influence. And I'm thinking, then you better have a business mindset because it doesn't just happen with the sprinkle of favor. It really has to be a conscious decision to build. And it really came out of a season in my life where I had been at a church and given my life to that church for, gosh, almost 16 years. I did not go to college. I did not go to ministry schools. I was the worship pastor there for 8 years. I was a teaching pastor again for another 6 years. And when the economy crashed in 2008, they did everything they could to keep us on. But out of our 40 staff, we had I think, about 1,600 people that were part of this community. We were let go of our job. And so my husband and I, with 4 little kids, we had a 5, 4, 1, and a 3-month-old. And I had no plan B. I had a little house I just purchased for the first time at my adult life at 34. I have all these kids and I have no money in the bank. And now we take a role at a church called Bethel, which was great. It wasn't a role at that. It was actually a separate nonprofit, but we went to lead that. So I remember making a decision when you give a decade plus of your life. And when I left, I had nothing. I had faithfulness, I had integrity, I had the things that matter. But in general, I didn't leave the product, I didn't leave the website, I left with nothing. And I had to start over. And I remember thinking, I'm never going to do that again. I'm never going to give all of my time and resources without building a foundation that I could take with me. So, what I started doing, and again, I don't know if it was, I believe it was the Lord, but I did it. I had this private little world where I would watch people that did marketing. And
Mm.
I kind of really became, it was like my side hustle. I like to watch people that taught webinars. I like to teach people that did, back in the day, it was Amy Porterfield was a little bit. And I did a lot of Chalene Johnson was another one that I loved. And I would watch, obviously, even the guy who does, I'm trying to think of all the names, but the guy that does the webinar, the perfect webinar. And so I would
Oh,
watch,
yeah.
I would follow their podcast, and I was one that would just love it. So I would listen, I would join their memberships, and I began to realize there was a few valuable things. And one of the things I heard early on, and this is probably, gosh, 10 years ago, was that your email list will be gold. That your email list, if social media shuts down or some, God forbid, that doesn't happen, how are people going to find you? And so my husband and I just went after emails. And that was the grace of God, because I didn't know how much that would matter. And so by the time we started going after emails, we quickly began to gain them. We started doing lead magnets. Nobody was doing this. And we were doing it under the radar, because in church life, people don't understand it. And they also are kind of confused by it as leaders, like, well, why are we marketing the gospel? But I
Yeah.
knew that because I did most of my stuff online, I had to get them. And so we did this free um, Bible study. I remember trying to teach people, and now it's out there in the world, but I was trying to explain that I want to do a Bible study at my kitchen table on Facebook. And everyone was confused. Wait, you're going to teach live on Facebook? It was all just very confusing. But somehow there was a need for it, because I was a mom. I had 4 kids at home. I couldn't go get my pants on and pay to go read, do a Bible study. I needed someone that could do that with me.
Yep.
And we started to have this a massive favor, but all along, I'm listening to these people that know how to create businesses and sustainability. And so by the time we were done, within that 5-7 years, we were up to 100,000 emails, and now I think we're 250. So again, 250,000 emails. And so we have worked so hard in that space, but we didn't work like clickbait. We just, everything we did, we intentionally tried to connect people to what we were doing. And I knew that those emails would go with me, that if God forbid my job went away, or God forbid I wasn't able to travel, or God forbid, something was to go on, I would have that connection to the people I was reaching. And that was critical. I cannot stress that enough. And again, it was profound. And then as we learned that, I started to not look at ministry websites. I would look at anybody, and again, these are kind of later on, but a Jenna Kutcher's emails, or a Jasmine Star
Mhm.
started doing it, or different ones. And I knew that they were more business focused, but I knew they know how to get to people. And see, I
Yeah.
believe as a woman of faith and a Christian, I believe that my call is for people, is to go and reach people. And so I think it doesn't, the strategy is sometimes a lot of people have out there, and we think it's not spiritual, but I think that they're kings. They've learned how to do this well. So that's kind of how it started. It was very under the radar. We started to build our social following. And I knew, and I don't know why I knew this, maybe because I didn't have favor for a long time. I sat at a church for 12 years, and nobody asked for my teach. I mean, it wasn't like I had this massive favor. I knew when favor hit, that if I didn't steward it well, I just knew it, that I would in 10 years later not have it in that
Mm.
way. And so I was very intentional to write the books as fast as I could, to get the emails as fast as I could, to build something, because I knew there was kind of an open moment in my life.
Oh, I love that. Okay, give me a time frame. When do you feel like you started getting momentum and you went, "Okay, let me get focused in and really build here."
I think it was, so I was having a lot of favor in terms of being invited, and I can't dismiss that. There were people that opened their doors. I was on a Bethel music tour, or I was over here, doing. There's a lot of different things that I had favor, and so I don't want to dismiss that as if I was this amazing
Yeah.
person. But there was a couple moments when I started to look at market trends, like e-courses were really big. That was a very new idea. How do you train people online? How do people
Mhm.
buy it? And I'll never forget, there was this part of me that thought, I want to teach people how to create messages, and I want to create something called a crash course to message prep. And we had this little office downtown, and I watched how to do a webinar. I mean, I was on the job. I'm printing it out. I'm watching them. I'm on YouTube and I'm trying to teach myself business because nobody in
Yeah.
the church is doing this. But I know that the skills are working. So if I could just put it into the thing that I really believe, it'll work. And we sat there and we did this course called Crash Course Communication. And it was my first $100,000 day. And I'll never forget. It was this,
Wow.
everybody bought. And my husband and I looked at each other and it's just him and I and a couple people that are just all new at this. But I knew it. It was like, there's something here that we are reaching the people. And that was really my pivotal moment where I went, that is that's more than, it was probably more than both been in my annual salary in one day at that point. It was so, and I went, this means I could be home. This means I could build. It was just revelatory. So that was really critical.
What a success story. $100,000 in a day from a
It was
course.
wild.
Well done. That's
Yeah.
huge.
And then you're like, was that, had that happened, did something, and what I found was that it does move. So if you have favor, or you have, and again, we had this heart to do everything in excellence, which I think people
Mhm.
miss as well. They think,
Mm.
well, I'll just fake it, everyone loves me, it'll be, misspelled, it will look this. But we had this heart to do it in excellence, and that we would kind of, you know uh, under promise over deliver in what we did. And my husband is the geek. He's the one that likes all the tech stuff, and he would learn. And we built all of that from a donation. Somebody gave us $10,000. It's actually the biggest donation we ever had by 10 times, probably. In my whole ministry, we don't have big donors. And we took that and bought a camera, and bought some lighting, and that's how we started all of this. And now we're almost, what, gosh, 13 years in, and yeah, yeah, we are seven figures every year. It's amazing. It's amazing what God has
Amazing.
done. Amazing.
And you're teaching the Bible from your kitchen table, truth to table. This
Truth to people.
idea, which no one understood in the beginning, and who would have known? Well, I'm just going to go on Facebook Live and teach the Bible to whoever wants to come. That it could turn into such an
And
amazing
it's humiliating.
organization.
Like, I think people don't understand that everybody sees you as a certain way. Like,
Mm.
my family saw me as a certain way, my church saw me, everybody. So to switch to switch them to see that I'm going into educating, it was, I had to, I remember just going, I mean, I just have to do it. I'm going to feel like an idiot. I'm going to feel like I'm messing this up. But if I don't make this shift, I'm going to miss this moment. And so, um, my friends were not the ones that cheered. My family was not the ones. And in fact, it took many years for them to understand what I was even doing. But it didn't matter. I wasn't for them. It wasn't for them. And so, I had to take a risk. And that was the
I always
awful.
Oh, I'm sure. I always tell people it's okay when people don't understand your calling and your dream because God hasn't given other people that calling or their dream. Why would we assume everybody gets it when they haven't been given the same thing? So, one thing I want to talk about as you're watching and you're taking notes on how great marketers are sharing their products, how did you protect yourself from comparison? And how do you still protect yourself from comparison? Because
Question.
comparison is one of those things, especially for women in business. We see women a few years ahead of us, we see women 10 years ahead of us, and we go, oh, I'll never be there. And we get discouraged. What's your strategy to
Great
not let
question.
comparison take you out?
Well, it's definitely there. So I agree with you. I think
Hmm.
to say I don't have that feeling of I didn't do that well or they're doing better at that. Um, I had to define, well, first of all, it was very helpful to follow women that weren't in my lane.
Yeah.
So I think I messed that up early on. I was following all the women that were doing what I was doing, and their numbers are skyrocketing. And so what I had to do was find other types of women that I respected that didn't have that comparison key. Like,
Smart.
Jenna Kutcher and I are not the same. We're never going to be the same person. She's got a whole different genre. So it didn't matter. It doesn't matter her success in that way. I wanted her tools. So I had to kind of curate who I was watching, because if I'm curating my competition, then you're also, I think, vulnerable to plagiarizing and mimicking. And
Yeah.
so I was really keen to even follow guys that I knew I'm never going to be that guy. And that helped me because I felt like I needed to get the information. But sometimes if it was the filter in which I was comparing, I couldn't even get the truth of what was happening. And then I also felt, and this is just what I think is important, is being on the road and seeing all these things and seeing people have this massive success. I understood that I that success to me was residual income that I could be with my family and I could do that. I didn't owe anybody anything. I didn't have
Amen.
to be on the road. I didn't have to.
Yep.
So I understood that that whole thing of how many followers, what am I invited to? That there's it's complicated because the culture is very flavor of the month focused.
Yep.
So it is, and I am too. I follow people on socials, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this person, and it doesn't. And it's not that they aren't valuable in my life, but I want something new. I want to taste something different. And so I had to understand that some of the women you're following and have this amazing favor, they are somewhat of the flavor of the month. And so it's not you, it's the way culture presents itself and elevates, and they like that, the freshness. And then
Mm-hmm.
secondly, I had to understand that I don't know what success is to them. So they
Mm.
might be going, success is me getting invited to every event, and that makes me feel great. I knew personally, I don't like the feeling of having to go on the road all the time. I didn't enjoy that. And so I had to really define what is success for me. And then I think it's important, and this is, I often say this to my students because we have an author school and we teach people how to write their first draft in 16 weeks. Is I relate it to this story. It's a short story, but if I was in an emergency and I walked into the hospital and this nurse is going to help me and I'm in crisis. If she looked at me and said, "Do you like my scrubs? Do you think they look cute in me? Do you like that I'm holding this needle?" I would be like, "I need a new nurse because I want someone focused on me. I don't want them focused on themselves."
Yep.
And I think that when we fight fear, anxiety, comparison, we are focused on our own scrubs. We're focused on, do we look
Mm.
good? Do we make sense? Does this value? Versus if I can find the need, then it doesn't really matter. It's like I can be in my bathing suit on a beach as long as I'm playing with my kid and they're happy about it. I don't really care that my butt is facing 300 people. If I think about it, I'll never get up. But if I look at my kid and think this is his childhood, so I think it's really about for the person. So when we're focused on numbers, experience us, people know it, they feel it. But if we're really focused on the solution that we're bringing to people, it doesn't really matter as much as we think. It's
It's
one person
good.
at a time. That's it.
It's really good.
Yeah.
For
It's
every woman
distracting.
who's on social media right now, summer 2024, what's actually working for you? Like, give
On
us
social.
give us a little tip. What used to
Oh, I've
work
been thinking.
doesn't work anymore. It's a mess out there, half.
It's a mess out there. I've not really talked about this publicly, so it's interesting to have a conversation. I am asking the same questions. 2020 was wild. It was
Yeah.
wild in every way, and enjoyable. There was a lot of people that hit massive success. And if you go back and look at their socials or their YouTube, or 2020 was a make or break year for a lot of people, and a lot of people made it. And so their numbers are connected to the entire world stopping and being home. And so it didn't mean that what they were doing was fully working as much as they had this kind of amazing moment. And then it got very hostile. It was very, I mean, it was very, and I say toxic. I know it's kind of a buzzword, but I felt that socials were very negative, and it felt as if it was everybody was trying to catch a lie or catch something. And so I took a step back probably in 22 after I felt myself having anxiety about being edited and what about this and what about that. And you
Mhm.
you post one thing and then people would say you forgot this and this, and it felt like I was in grammar school, or I was I was in trouble. So I
Mhm.
actually gave my socials to somebody to help me. And so they
Mm.
actually stewarded my socials for that season. And I think it's important to know that if something's starting to pull you in and it's causing you anxiety and fear, and then you're too close.
Yeah.
So I found myself unpacking that. And then I had given it to somebody who had accidentally given it to a hacker, my socials,
Oh
and
no.
it was terrible. And here we have a couple 100,000 people, and they're posting horrible things. And so we had a friend, and again, everyone's going to ask me, how did you get this? It was a friend's son who worked somewhere. I never knew his name, doesn't work there anymore. But he logged me, he was able to get it back for us, but broke the system in it. So it meant that our Instagram is ours, but I can't get verified. I can't, I mean, it's still a mess.
It's a
But I
mess.
want to say this, that's like a whole story in itself. But what I have found is um, it is still really great. It is really great. I think that humor is working. I
Hmm.
think that solving problems is really working. And I think that if you can still, again, meet the need that's there, it's great. Is it as easy as it was? No. Just like Facebook. Facebook was gold mine. Back in the day when I did my Bible studies, you could friend strangers up to 5,000 people for your event. So when
Really?
I was in my Bible study, I could friend 5,000 people that I did not know and add them to an event, and they could say yes or no. They didn't have to be in it, but I could have thousands of people. So again, it changes. If between you and I think YouTube is where it's at. Between you and
Yep.
I think YouTube is the next frontier, and if we're smart, we'll figure it out.
I put this show on YouTube. And I will say the first 6 months is just a mess of me figuring out cameras and then, like, camera settings being bad. Some episodes, my face is all sharp and crinkly. Some episodes, I look like I have filters on for an 80-year-old woman. Like, it's just a mess. But the whole time I've been on the YouTube, section, been like, "Okay, guys." One show I actually jump in and go, "I know I have been looking crazy the past few episodes. We are figuring this mess out." But because, like, when you have success in certain areas and then all of a sudden you go to another area that it's just really hard. One, it's hard on the ego at first. And two, it's just like, well, let me put this video up and let everyone see that two people have seen it. Like, YouTube's hard to get
It
started on,
is.
but I think you're right. It is the discovery tool right
I think
now.
so. Now remember, and this is the last I've heard, it could have changed. 80% of viewers on YouTube are men.
Yeah.
So we just have to realize too, it's not a bunch of women scrolling. It's a very male dominated environment, which is great. I live with 5 guys, you live with 6 guys. Like, we're not against that, but it is a
Yeah.
different kind of content. They're not into the fluff, but I like the long content. I like what's
Mhm.
happening over there, and if they are clear to not start editing the algorithm and the things that I think can mess with things, I think there's still something on that. Again, I think again you have to niche down. So keep niching till you find your people. And I always want to tell people this. You think that having a lot of people follow you, whether it's on your podcast, whether it's on your socials, the first 1,000 people that ever followed me were the best group of people that ever followed me. Period.
Amen. Yep.
Those 1,000 people shared, liked, commented. I now have hundreds of thousands and I get less interaction. So there's this weird thing of like, when I have more money, I'll live a better life. No, you won't.
Mm-mm.
When you have a great salary that you're not just surviving, you'll live the best life. And that's
Yep.
where I think people just overvalue. They think, and people will say that to me. Well, if you could just post this about this, then you could help me. And I'm thinking, it doesn't work that way anymore. It used to work that
Mhm.
influencers could post something and everyone loved it. Now they're being so marketed to. We're going back to authentic. You're seeing it everywhere. Less makeup, less hair, less editing, the more raw, and people are liking that more. So even for those that are listening, I think it's really important to think about the rawness. How do I get more raw? How do I get more less, you know, performance and more raw? And I'm thinking about this, Alli. I'm saying this as somebody who's right in the trenches. I've not figured it
Yeah.
all out, but I want to figure it out. I do.
I've yet to talk to anyone who has said, "Oh, I know what's going on with social." Every single person goes, "I have
Really?
no idea." I will tell you, authenticity, yes, but if I ever show up on a video on social media without makeup, you'll know that someone's holding me at gunpoint. It's not it's
Well,
not
let's
gonna
just say
happen.
it's the age we're at. And I always laugh because everyone's like, let's do this raw footage. I'm like, you're 22. I looked amazing at 22. But you look at me, you'll think she needs a good night's sleep and a glass of water. So I do agree with you. You don't want to look so raw that it's distracting. And I
Yeah.
think there's a fine line. I think people don't understand. Just like you want to be vulnerable, but you don't want to emotionally vomit online. People don't like that either. They think people
Yeah.
like it, but they don't. You again, your reader, your listener, your viewer are asking what's in it for me all the time.
That's
So
good.
that's the goal, is that if you look perfect, they're going to go, this isn't in it for me. But if you look presentable, like you care, then they'll like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will go with presentable.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a fun question, and I can't wait to hear what your answer is with this one. I believe that we get our best ideas after we go through the failures of ideas that we thought were good, but they were not actually good. Have you ever had an idea that turned out to be a total flop, something that didn't work for you?
It's a great question. Yes, lots. Um, well, I would say just like right off the bat, I had a couple books that were complete flops, like complete. And it was, um, I undervalued the felt need, where I
Mm.
needed the felt need on the front, and I valued more aesthetics. It was very the Pinterest days where things were pretty and I thought this is pretty, people like it. And I was missing the point that the felt need. We also did the crash course. We did how to prep a message, how to write a message, and we did one on how to write a book, and all of those were
Mhm.
smashing success. And then I did one on how to go live, and that one just bombed.
Oh,
I mean, it didn't
because
do.
people are afraid of going live, I bet.
It wasn't the felt. I think most people were like, you have to be all the way over here on a course on how to go live. It's not the average.
Mm.
I would say that was one for sure. I have a couple things right now that I'm doing that I think I'm going to stop.
Oh,
So I also think it's really important that failure doesn't always happen in the beginning. I think failure happens when we stop. We don't stop to assess if it still has value. And
amen.
that's where my issue is right now. You have a lot of, and I think there are people that are listening to this where you're thinking, well, that was successful. And I'm saying that was your high school years. You were very successful. You were a great athlete, but you're 28. And is that still working? And I'm finding the tension between I can't keep adding and I want to be more innovative and be on the frontier of a YouTube or my socials. I want to be more in that, but I'm busy doing this, this, and this for who?
Yeah,
And I have to ask that question. And I don't always know, but yeah.
that's good. That's
I
really that's
also,
wisdom.
one of the key things I did, I'm not kidding, with the Crash Course Communication and with
Mhm.
our author school, which we launched and it was a smashing success as well. I hired a business coach and I hired them at an ungodly amount of money that I was like, I'm not even getting paid that. And I'm the voice and the face. And I remember feeling like this is wild. Like when we did Crash Course Communication, we hired a guy who
Mhm.
just coached us on how to create that. And it was more money than any of us was getting paid. And I thought, well, we'll do it up until, and that day we doubled. I mean, we made whatever his salary was. Then when we did author school, I hired a guy and it was $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a lot for me personally, as a ministry person. Again, I'm not in business, so you guys have to understand in business that's probably very normal to pay certain, I've been a part of $30,000 mastermind groups. I'm not afraid of the income, but in that space of could be two other people's salary on our staff. That's how I have to
Yeah.
think of it. I went, I don't know how to do this and I need an expert. And I'm not kidding. He paid his salary over and over, and the next time I do something big I'll be calling him, and he's not a believer. Like he's open,
Mhm.
but he's not a faith-based person. But you have to have wisdom to know that that's okay, that there's certain points he's not teaching me theology, he's not with my audience. It is purely his expertise. I don't have to hire a cancer doctor if he's a faith believer. You know what I'm saying? Like I want somebody
Yeah.
who's good at what they do. And then there was a point when I realized we're at the end of that, and that's okay.
Mhm.
And I'd coach my team and say, gosh, I love that he said that, but we probably aren't going to drop the F bomb, in normal staff meetings. So things like that. But in general, it's a risk. But I love being ahead of the game and I love to figure that out. And there was one point when he said, you should do something else. And I knew I could, but I'm not
Mm.
here just to make income. That I'm not here to win. I'm here to win at a point where I can be home more. I want my family to thrive. So that's the tension when you start winning, not to just keep pushing.
That's so good. And yes, I'm biased, but I do believe a business coach is a massive key to
Critical.
success because you're going to save time, you're going to make more money, you're going to have somebody to tell you exactly what to do. It's a key.
And
Okay.
unedited, they're not enamored by you. And in ministry specifically,
No.
people are enamored and they don't want to tell you the truth. And a business
You
coach
you
doesn't do
literally yes, this is what I say all the time. You have to pay somebody to tell you the truth.
I believe that.
Because
I
your
believe
friends love you and they think everything you do is great, or they think everything you do is terrible. The people who are enamored with you, they're going to think everything you do is
we
great. You have to be in a business relationship with someone who is an expert and is wise and will actually say, this won't work because of X, Y, and Z. But if we tweak it a little bit and we go right here, you're going to reach people. You're going to do the things that God's putting on
I
your
agree.
heart to do. It's so good.
And the issue too is people think I'll hire someone to make me better. Like I'll hire a therapist or I'll hire. It's still about you. You need somebody
Mm-hmm.
who's about the bottom line. Does that make
Yep.
sense? Like people think I'll go on a retreat and I'll meet some people. No, you need somebody who numbers don't lie.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's hard because it feels less fun and less warm.
Yeah, meeting people on a retreat and having a great network is great, but are they in your P&L and are they
Right.
pushing you to go to the next level? Probably not. Okay, last big building question. If somebody is dreaming of building a nonprofit and teaching in the way that you're teaching, what's a word of wisdom and what's something to avoid?
It's a great question. The first person I hired to do admin was critical.
Mm,
Somebody who knew how to start a budget, somebody who knew how to get our domain names. You need somebody in the trenches that likes to set up something because a lot of times we get people like, oh, they'll get me coffee or they'll do this, but you need somebody who loves to structure even legally for you. I think it's really important. So I would say that was really critical. And they didn't always last, but I can look back and think about specific women that never did anything in the ministry world, but did it in the business and finance and all the things and catapulted me forward because of it.
mm,
They got me in my name in my email. They started making me realize like these are things that people do that look professional that people are this is necessary. So I think you need somebody in your corner that sees that tries to make you more professional, tries to make it more presentable and less mom and pop. I think that's very helpful. And I didn't realize but that was really critical. And I would say the second thing is be careful not to hire friends.
amen to that.
And that's a hard one because you want everyone to win. And if you're
Yeah.
winning at all, and I have friends, it's funny. I have a table full of friends, and I have friends but we were friends for 8, 9 years. I know who they are, but I didn't hire friends that were in crisis. And so I would
Mm,
say that's really important that you don't try to solve because there's something about you working so hard, and then all of a sudden you're working hard to help them and it messes with your brain. And so then you can't objectively look at what they're putting out because you're saving their family, you're saving their marriage, you're saving their finances. So I would say that's really important. And when it's time to let them go, you are no longer just a friend or no longer just a leader. You are. I mean, when I let people go, and I've had to learn to let people go, and it's so difficult, but it's make or break. If you don't let
yeah.
somebody go that's not working, your team will start to dissolve, and they will start to think the morale will go down, and you might
Mm-hmm.
think it's working, and they will gently back away and head out. So if there's somebody that is not getting along with everybody, somebody who's complicating, you have to own it. I would say grow a pair and get out there and do it. And it's hard, but the numbers don't lie. This is not a mercy ministry moment. You want to help people, but you can't help people if one person's taking all the resources.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Sounds
Okay,
harsh.
fun.
It's true.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it's true. You're right. Because if you leave someone on staff that we don't want to throw the word around, but it works, that's relatively toxic, not them as a person,
Exactly.
but as for the culture, if they're toxic to culture, it will destroy culture of a whole team.
Yeah, and
If
for me,
there's
I
won't work.
needed women. I had a transition in my ministry recently, about a year ago. I needed women that weren't I don't know how to say it. It's not a negative, but more mousy in the sense of like they don't speak up, they're just there to do the work. And I realized it's not elevating my staff. Everyone's kind of just adminning and doing the work, but no one's saying, what about? And no one's giving that good
Mhm.
feedback. And so I wanted full grown people at the table. And that's hard because it didn't reflect their work. It didn't reflect their heart. It reflected I needed the atmosphere to shift, and that's a
Good.
personality kind of thing.
That's good. That's really
Yeah.
good. Okay, a couple of fun questions.
Yes.
The first one, what are one or two favorite apps right now? What do you find yourself going to often?
Oh wow, two favorite apps right now.
Mhm.
I I love Canva. I'm a
Mhm.
Canva girl at any point. I love it.
Yep.
One of the ones I love right now is I think it's called Temply, and it edits your videos. It's a
No.
Yeah, I think it's a membership. Yeah, Temply,
Mhm.
Temply, and it's reels that are templates, and it's got the music, and it's got so you just drop your footage in, and then it creates the reel. So Temply's one that I really love, and then
Nice.
obviously Canva. I'm looking at my phone. I know you guys aren't here. I also really
Okay, I have a hold on. Can I ask a question about Temply?
Yes.
Is the music they use copywritten?
Nope. You're good.
Oh, okay, because that is so annoying. You find the great music and then you can't boost a reel because of
Yes.
copyright. Genius. Okay,
Yes.
what was the
You're good.
next one you
You're
were going
good
to talk
with
about?
this. You're good
Okay.
with this, and it's no music you would know. It's not like
Okay,
someone's
good.
popular song. It's just instrumental that they created. And then I would say, yeah, so that has been very helpful. And then honestly, I'm kind of loving my Genie Chat GPT. I'm loving it. And I'm
It's
not
pretty
using it
great.
for content. I mean, I like the idea if I don't know where to start, but I like to ask questions. What are the facts about this? What are the stats about this? I find myself using it for um, more data. And so
Oh
I think
yeah.
it's very great to have. I'm a big fan of that.
I have this pain at the top of the side of my lower leg, and I take a picture of my leg with my fingers like here to here. I am having this type of pain between here and here, and then I give it like all the details. What pretend you're a doctor, what do you think some possible diagnoses are? And then we go back and forth to figure out what was causing the pain from the picture. It's pretty amazing. Yes,
that
bring all the chat
I
GPT.
love it all. And also Grammarly just
Yeah.
added a new improve. And I just used that this weekend and I'm like, this is genius. I'm loving it because it's my words. It's
Mhm.
already grammar, which I have Grammarly on everything I do because I'm a terrible speller and all that.
Same.
But now it's adding some improvement and I like it because it's not like the AI that's changing the content. It's just adjusting it and I really love
Mhm.
it. So
Oh,
I'm all
yeah, I'll write an email and then Grammarly will be like, "Would you like it to
yes.
look like that?" And I go, "Oh, that is much better. Thank you."
I love it.
Okay, and then last question. I love this question. Give me your favorite affordable cosmetic and favorite luxury.
Okay, so I actually really like cheap cosmetics. I'm that girl. And so you won't find a lot of expensive things, and partly because I have to use a lot of it. When you're on the road, you're putting your face on every day.
Yep.
But my favorite is the Maybelline. It's called Master Contour, and it's got three things. It's like a bronzer, a blush, and then like the shiny, highlighter stuff. And I love that because it is, yeah, I buy it every time I'm out. It's just a great little palette. I like a
Nice.
bronzer. I like this when I travel because I can use the bronzer as eyeshadow and I can use the shiny stuff as like the inside of the eye. And so I don't have to bring a bunch of stuff. And I do like that.
Oh, that's so smart.
Yeah, I love it. And then my second, my most expensive, it's called I think it's called Perricone, Perricone,
Mhm.
Perricone
Mhm.
MD, and it's a face finishing and firming tinted moisturizer. So okay, now listen, you can find it at Costco, but it's not the tinted, and that's where you're gonna mess up.
Okay.
I have a lot of people that are like, I found it. It is a face finishing, firming, tinted moisturizer. And the inside, it almost looks gray. It's kind of a creamy gray. But when you put it on, it's got this illuminate. It's like it's this. It covers. It's a gentle coverage, but it illuminates. And the moment I started wearing this, I started getting complimented on my face, like my skincare, everything. And I'd like to say that I was like really good at washing my face. It's this stuff. And so now I have it on an order that comes in. I think it's probably like $80. And it's got
Mhm.
sunscreen too, 30 sunscreen. But it's my very favorite. I love it. I can't it was out forever and now you can find it on QVC as an auto and you have to Google it. But I'm not kidding. This I will never do life without this. So that's what
I'm
it is.
all in. Okay, give me the name again because when we stop this, I'm about to go look
I'm
it
gonna
up.
say Perrycone MD. I don't know if you can see that,
Uh-huh.
but
I
those are
see it. Yep.
and it looks like this is my third bottle that I have it right now, but
Okay.
it's like a creamy, and it's called again. This is the importance. It's a potency classics, high potency classics, face finishing and firming tinted moisturizer. So you're looking for the face
Wow.
firming, but make sure it says a firming tinted moisturizer because that's the difference between the other set. But this is
Hmm.
gold, especially if you're a little bit in the mid mark in life. I love that. I also really love. There's this Maybelline the lip stay color. I probably
Hmm.
have 10 of those in my purse all the time. That lipstick's my favorite too. But yeah,
Love it. Absolutely
I'm
love
all
it.
about
Okay, you are so fun. This was amazing. Thank you for coming back on the show. I need to think of a reason to have you back on the show
it.
again, over and over again, because you're a delight. T- It's so fun. Tell everybody where to find you.
You guys can find me at havilahcunnington.com. It's the full name, havilahcunnington.com, or you can find me at Havilah Cunnington on socials. I'm mostly on Instagram. And yes, I do. Someone does a lot of my posting, but I am on there and get to see a lot. And I also have a podcast called Havilah's Podcast. And Havilah's Podcast is my passion project right now. It's on YouTube, it's on iTunes and iCloud and all of that. But this has been so incredible, Alli. Like, I love you. I'm so proud of you. And you and I both agree that business has to be, there has to be a foundation of understanding how to be in business and do it well. And I think that's really critical
Amen.
to longevity. So I love it. This is a great series for summer too. You didn't tell us what your favorite makeup is. Did you ever talk about that?
Oh, girl, I talk about it on here every week. Every week after the interview, I'll be like, I found something new. I found something new.
All right,
And so,
just we'll close out
yeah,
with
I'm obsessed with it all. The older I get, the more I like it. Um, I can't get enough. It is my hobby.
it.
We'll have you on again soon. Love you.
I love you too. Bye.
I told you this is a special one, right? She's amazing. Okay, let's talk coaching. Let's talk about how to actually take action because I can see this holding so many of us back. It's a trap of what I call inaction, the trap of inaction. We often get stuck thinking we need more information because then, if we have more information, we can feel confident about moving forward, right? We want to make sure that our next step is perfect, so we end up not taking any steps at all. That has to sound familiar. Here's the thing: action creates information, it is a feedback loop. When you do something, anything, you learn from it. If you stay still, you learn nothing. So don't freeze up. Make a choice and move. The only way to get more information is by doing things with the information that you already have. If you don't do anything, nothing new can come your way. We all fall in this trap. We've all done it. We face a tough decision and we freeze. We don't know what else to do. So, when we don't know what else to do, we do nothing. But doing nothing is the worst thing you can do. The best thing you can do is to keep moving, even if you're not sure if it's the right move. Something is better than nothing. Now, I'm not going to insult your intelligence. I know you're a smart woman. I don't have to say, don't blow up your business, don't blow up your marriage, don't do something crazy. Of course not that. I don't have to put all of those qualifiers in when I'm talking to you like I do when I'm writing a book. Seriously. You know what I'm talking about taking action. Take action on all the good things that you know that you want to give it a try. When someone on my team comes to me and they're like, I don't know if I should do this. I don't know if I should do that. What if I make a mistake in it? My answer is, our company is not performing brain surgery. It is okay if it doesn't work. We don't know what's going to work until we give it a try. So here's a little story. I'll give you a story about me. Once recently, not a long time ago, I was trying to decide if I should start a new project. I love starting new projects. My rule that I've set for myself, so not to start too many, is one new project a year. So, yes, you will be hearing about a new project for 2025 soon. But in this, I was stuck. I didn't know if it was the right move. So I sat there doing nothing. And then I thought to myself, what's the worst thing that can happen if I just take some action and see what happens? So I took a small step. And guess what? I learned a little bit of information with that small step that I never would have learned had I just sat there and thought about it. It wasn't perfect, but it's progress. So if you do something that's not perfect, you still will get new information. This will help you make better decisions in the future. Life is like a game where you keep moving and you keep adapting. Every action you take will give you new insights that will fuel your next move. But you gotta get in motion. That is the secret. So next time you feel stuck, remember this. Keep moving. Even if you're not going at the speed you want, it's better than not moving at all. As you keep going, you're going to get new insights. You're going to refine your ideas. You're going to make better decisions, and you're even going to make better moves in the future. Now you can see it, right? Now you see why doing something is better than doing nothing. We all fall into the trap of inaction sometimes. We stay where we are because we're not sure what the right next step is. But guess what? It doesn't matter. Take a tiny step in any direction, then correct your course. Do this again and again until you get where you want to go. You deserve to keep moving forward, and you can achieve this just by beginning to do things. Talk to people, get out there, give it a try. Learn something. I can't tell you how many times people ask me questions and I go, have you YouTubed that? Because, like, if it's a technical question, or how do I do this, or how do I do that, or what is this? There are YouTube channels made by companies teaching you how to do almost anything. There are the best neuroscientists in the world on YouTube teaching you all they need to know. There's so much there. You want to filter your information, right? You don't just want to listen to anybody who is filming a video in their basement, pretending that they're an expert on something. But just get out there, learn some stuff, take some action. It will be amazing. So here's your action step. Think about one area where you've been stuck. Maybe it's a project, maybe it's a decision, maybe it's a personal goal. I want you to take the tiniest step that you can think of. It doesn't have to be big. Maybe it's sending an email or making a phone call or spending 5 minutes brainstorming or learning something new. Just take the step. Then see what you can learn from it and take the next step. Keep moving, keep learning, and keep growing. Remember, perfection is the enemy of progress. You don't need all the answers to get started. Just start, and the answers will come as you move forward. It's the secret of how it works. Okay, now, fun recommendation. Lashes this week. So I haven't worn lashes for years because I was a little freaked out by lash glue. I developed a lipstick allergy about 10 years ago that was terrifying. I was like, can I never wear lipstick again? I love lipstick. I discovered that I can only wear Clinique now. It's very sad, but thank you, Clinique, for having a lot of different options for me. But lashes made me nervous because of lash glue. Like, what if I develop an allergy to makeup near my eyes? I finally worked up my bravery because I looked up out of the rock I've been living under, and there are self adhesive eyelashes now. So this is great because there's no glue that's actually touching my skin. I never could get the magnetic ones to work. I mean, I'm so impressed with everyone that gets magnetic eyelashes to work. I've tried and I've tried and I've tried and I can't do it. But these, they're just clusters. So they're little bits of lashes and you stick them underneath your lashes. So they're just sticking to the lashes and they're easy to put on and they're easy to take off. I love them. They're super inexpensive. It was about $10 on Amazon, a massive pack of these eyelash clusters. I am wearing them right now. The brand I bought was Lash View self adhesive lash clusters. I think it's Amazon's recommendation. I buy a lot of whatever Amazon's recommendation is. I really do like the fact that they don't stick to my skin. They don't stay on forever. It's super, super easy. Like I said, I'm wearing them right now. I put them on when I have to do videos. I don't wear them on stage yet when I'm speaking because it just makes me nervous. Like, I want to be focused in on the audience. I don't want to be focused in all of a sudden that there's something hanging off an eyelash. No, thank you. I'm not going to do that. But these are natural ish. It looks like you're wearing lashes, but it doesn't look like there's a woolly caterpillar on your lashes, like has been in style for the past few years. I'll be so excited when that goes out of style. But I'm not here to be mean. about style trends. I'm here to encourage, and I'm glad you're here. You know, I love it that we get to have this time together every week. I'm investing in myself by learning from different friends. You're investing in yourself with everything you're learning. And you know that an investment in yourself, in your spiritual health and emotional health and professional success benefits everyone. I believe in what's inside of you. I believe in your dreams, and I know you're making an impact on this world for good. That's why you're here every week. Because I know that God created you to stand strong and bring something special and unique to this world that only you can bring. So keep stepping up, keep showing up, keep loving well, because you know the truth. You can't break a woman who gets her strength from God. And I love to get to coach and equip you every week. I'll be back with you next Monday, and I hope you have a great day. 3, 2, 1. Step. Get it together, Alli. Record this video. And cut.